West Asia is staring at another war. Israel versus Palestine, Israel versus Hamas, and Israel versus Lebanon. It's a complicated mix. Rockets and threats are raining on Israel, and they're paying back in kind. And the way things are going, it could blow up into a full-fledged war. We say this because it has happened before, and it started exactly like this. The tension began at the Al-Aqsa mosque. We've been telling you about the clashes there, the Al-Aqsa mosque. This mosque is the third holiest site in Islam after Mecca and Medina. It is said that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven from here. Now, the same mosque is a site of conflict. Israeli forces raided the mosque to remove worshippers who were apparently carrying weapons. The Palestinians fought back. Soon the fighting spread beyond the mosque compound. Militant group Hamas entered the fray. They started firing rockets at Israel, first from Gaza, then from Lebanon. Yesterday, there was a barrage of rockets that came from Lebanon. Israel responded with warplanes and conducted airstrikes on Lebanon. And both sides are now issuing threats. Hamas says, and I'm quoting, they won't sit with their arms crossed in the face of Israeli aggression. Israel says Hamas will pay a price for this. The world is calling for calm, but to no avail. Let's get you the latest. Last night, northern Israel was targeted. At least 34 rockets were fired from Lebanon. Israel said it intercepted most of them, but the ones that got through did cause damage. Some buildings were hit, 2 people were injured. They were hit by shrapnel. For Israel, the rocket attacks are a clear provocation. This is the biggest strike from Lebanon, from Lebanese soil, since 2006. That's the year when Israel and Lebanon went to war. And this time, the attacks are coming from Hamas in Lebanon. At least that's what Israel says. Hamas is a militant group morphed into a political party. It controls the Gaza Strip. Israel calls the Hamas a terrorist organization. It says they are the ones who fired the rockets from Lebanon. Israeli defense forces were quick to counterattack. They dispatched jets. They struck targets inside Lebanon and also across the Gaza Strip.
Around 3:30 a.m., there were aviation airstrikes, and we felt it. Then they struck here, but we weren't sure of it in the village. People went onto the streets, but didn't know. When we saw the soil, I knew it was here in our farmland, so we came and viewed it. People came to check the crater caused. We depend on God. May God ease it on everyone.
Israeli fighters used around 20 missiles. They hit at least 4 sites in a span of 10 minutes. And this may not be the end of Israeli action. Prime Minister Netanyahu has promised a strong response.
Recently, I have made it clear that our enemies should not misjudge us. The internal debate in Israel will not prevent us from taking action against them wherever and whenever necessary. Regarding the aggression against us on the other fronts, we will strike our enemies and they will pay the price for any act of aggression.
Israel is sending a clear message. It holds Lebanon responsible for the missile attacks and it wants to stop all Hamas operations in Lebanon. But it's not going to be easy. And Hamas too wants to punish Israel for the clashes at Al-Aqsa, among other things. Before the rocket attacks, the Hamas sent out this warning.
What happened in Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Israel forces' assaults on the worshippers, is a crime and is a violation of all human rights and laws. And the occupation should be held responsible for it and its repercussions, because our people will not let this pass without a response to the terrorizing of the worshippers who were safe in the house of God. The strike on Gaza this morning is an attempt to prevent Gaza from uniting with our people in Jerusalem. We will remain to function as a shield to our people in Jerusalem and the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Neither side is prepared to back down at this point, and this raises the risk of conflict. Not the first time this is happening. In 2021, there were similar clashes. They led to a war. Israel and Hamas fought an 11-day war, and the parallels this time are uncanny. In 2021, Israel evicted families in East Jerusalem. Then the Israeli police raided worshippers at Al-Aqsa. That triggered attacks from Hamas. They began firing rockets. Israel fired back with missiles. And 2 years on, the same thing is happening. There is a UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon. It has issued a statement. It says the situation is, quote-unquote, extremely serious. The United Nations has urged restraint. So has the United States. The US, remember, is Israel's top ally. It says Israel has the right to defend itself, but both sides should work towards dialing down tensions.
We are concerned by the scenes out of Jerusalem, and it is our viewpoint that it is absolutely vital that the sanctity of holy sites be preserved. We condemn the launch of rockets from Lebanon and Gaza at Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, and we recognize Israel's legitimate right to defend itself against all forms of aggression.
America says the sanctity of the holy site should be preserved. And that's a complicated issue. This is a site where Jewish temples once stood. They were demolished centuries ago. Now there are mosques and a peace deal that hardly holds. Jews can visit the site, but they cannot pray here. Muslims can pray, but they were flushed out of the mosque by Israeli forces. It was a security operation. The worshippers had explosive fireworks in the mosque. It is happening during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Also the Jewish festival of Passover. As the tension and fighting spreads, the facts are getting blurred. Israel blames the Hamas for the rocket strikes, but reports say that the Hezbollah may also be involved. They may have backed the Hamas strikes. And who are the Hezbollah? This is an Iran-backed Shia group based in Lebanon. Also, they call themselves a political party. The Hezbollah is an arch-rival of Israel, and they back the Assad regime in Syria. Israel has been fighting a shadow war with Iran there. It has been targeting the Hezbollah. In fact, Israel has intensified operations in the last few months. Since the beginning of this year, Israel has conducted at least 10 airstrikes inside Syria. Israeli airplanes struck drone factories. They killed at least 2 members of the Hezbollah. So they may be hitting back with the help of the Hamas. And if Israel decides to retaliate further, the situation could spin out of control. The US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. This year, 2023, New Delhi will be the capital of global diplomacy. For a country as diverse as ours, with 88% of the population illiterate, it was a very big deal to write a constitution, and that too, the world's largest. Meanwhile, if we may, here's a Republic Day gift from India for the BBC. A list of suggestions for the BBC for their upcoming documentaries. Number 1, the Kohinoor and the colonial loot. Number 2, an outdated monarchy and unhealthy obsession with the royals. Number 3, racism in 2023. We're waiting.